where are the fathers? Why aren't they doing this for their children, for their sons?
Are we
failing women because we're failing men because we're failing boys? Does it start when they're babies? Andrew?
Being the proud father of a 15-year-old son, I've got to tell you that he is very respectful of women. Mind you, I think his mother would have made certain of that anyway. But he is fascinated by many things in life. You know, he sees that it's important to interact with people, and ever since he was a young boy, he's always had this very open approach to others, regardless of gender. And he now finds himself surrounded by male and female friends. Not lots of them. He's not sort of, you know, king popularity with 30 kids sort of hanging on his every word. But he doesn't discriminate against or feel that he needs to aggrandise himself by showing that he's a bloke and she's a woman, you know, whatever. And I would hope that part of that is because he's lived in a non-discriminatory household in which solidarity and the capacity for others to identify with him and for him to identify with others has been something that he thinks is important. He was involved in junior sport for some time, but what he found was that the competition wasn't based on a desire to get the best out of people, but the competition was based, in his view, on you know, people playing favourites and engaging in sort of mind games, etc. He's not the sort of young man who thinks that those mind games are important, and he thinks, well, I mean, I'm not putting words in his mouth, I don't think, but I think he's got a view that the way in which he interacts with people and treats them with respect is the sort of respect that he expects back. When he comes to union meetings, as he still does every once in a while, sometimes he sort of editorialises to me, you know, that's pretty ordinary sort of behaviour. He doesn't like discriminatory behaviour or discriminatory talk, and I think that that's the sort of stuff which he likes to see approached. But I've got to also say that I gave the example of Ted, one of our key construction industry delegates before. I think that what we've managed to do, but we've got to keep doing it because it's only still at a very low level with a gender-segmented workforce like we have. We've got to transform good sense about non-discriminatory behaviour into common sense, where it's just seen as axiomatic that if you're male, female, or whatever, whether you're gay or straight, that you've got a right to be treated with respect and not discriminated against in the workplace. And in construction, it's a pretty buffy, male-dominated industry in which they do violence to the earth, I suppose, in many respects, and they see that sometimes that can translate into a bit of biffo elsewhere. They see though, and our delegates want to see that to be able to operate as properly respectful human beings, that they've got to be able to not only treat others with respect, especially women, but they've also got to get others to actually stand. They will stand with others and say, look, this is not acceptable behaviour against people who are, whether they be female of a different gender orientation to them, you know. And that's the sort of thing which I'm confident that if we keep doing what we're doing and continue to operate and to take up those issues in the workplace and say that these are not just words on paper but actually are a guide to action, that we will see that violence against women, discrimination in the workplace, discrimination in society is not acceptable.
Do we have another question? We have a couple. Let's take the gentleman over here, please, and then we'll do the lady down the front. Thank you.
Hi, I've got a few things I want to try and tie in together. Where Michael was saying earlier about, used the phrase, what took us so long? And I was tying that in with, up on the screen, there's the Australia's Challenge CEO, because the CEOs are in the position where they can have some influence. And I was also looking at the board and it says AusAid. Now obviously they have, or could have, some influence, and also Andrew's position as president of the Queensland Labor Party, I think it was. So he has some influence. So I was thinking, why do we stop at Australia's Challenge CEO? Because using Cambodia, for example, currently rated 154th out of 168 countries on the corruption index. So that's pretty poor. So corruption, as Panya was saying earlier, is endemic, so much so that they had to pay money back to the World Bank for their corruption. So I'm curious, and I know there's no AusAid people here, why AusAid is limiting their aid generally to finance and not get hands-on in there to help change the culture of corruption, and maybe Andrew get his influence into politics, because adversarial politics, which we see on the television where we've got both sides of the house trading insults instead of trading policies. Both those things are higher levels than the CEO level, and both of those are affecting society at large. And I'm wondering why adversarial politics isn't challenged, and why good meaning places like AusAid aren't challenged further to provide greater education of endemic problems like corruption.
Thanks for the question. Andrew, would you like to talk on it merely from a political point of view? Why aren't we seeing, I guess the question is, why aren't we seeing these issues going through the Parliament, becoming law?
Well, first of all, I say that I am the honorary president of the Labor Party. My, they don't pay me at all. My day job is the State Secretary of the AMW, a job that I'm, very proud and privileged to do. But I am a political animal, and I've always been politically engaged, and I've been a member of the Labor Party for quite some time. The point is that well, there's a number of points that come out of your comment and question. First of all, in the same way as our laws are set up in an adversarial rather than an inquisitorial manner, because of the English common law and in terms of the civil and common law, the common law and the criminal law, it is an adversarial system, and that means that to be found guilty of a crime, you have to be put to your proof. And likewise, if you have a common law matter, and there's probably plenty of lawyers here who can explain it much better than me, that you also have to be able to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. Common law, it's just to the civil standard of proof. The problem is that the Parliament is set up on the same or similar basis. What I see in politics, though, obviously isn't the parliamentary part of it. I see what you see, which is on TV and expressed in the press. What I see of government is I suppose, the policy-driven agenda and the capacity for people who are in elected office to undertake different policies. And to promulgate those policies in a way that will be advantageous to the community. I suppose in respect of AusAid, what we see is that personified. I suppose it's up to AusAid to determine whether or not they are prepared to get involved in the actual delivery of good behaviour as opposed to money within a particular country. For me, though, the politicians and the theatre which accompanies politics in this country, yes, it is adversarial, and as I say, it's based on, I think, a long tradition of adversarial relations. I think the problem has been or has become that the formal politeness which used to be a crucial part of the parliamentary system has been diminished in much the same way as public exchange of views has been diminished. instead of having a discussion as we're having now, because we all get to speak in sound bites, it's much easier to make an aggressive point in your allotted 20 seconds, not having a go at the media here, Lisa, but it's easier to make that adversarial point and to make it unequivocally and without the possibility of nuance, because otherwise you're seen as, well, I mean, insert negative epithet here, you know, soft cock, you know, all over the place, you know, not capable of articulating the position, every other sort of insult you want directed to them, and it seems to me in turn that if we are to have a more inclusive society and also a society in which we say that violence against women, violence against anybody is unacceptable, that we also have to address this issue of the difference between the form and the substance. The form is, you know, adversarial to the max, you know, 20-second sound bites, Tony Abbott in his Speedos, but the substance is one of, you would hope, of policy development done in a calm and rational manner, including the various stakeholders in a way that then is advantageous for the society as a whole. And I think that's the problem with respect to the appearance, the substance and the form.
Thanks, Andrew.